In fact, the reversal looks like it's actually come in on the pound Canadian, certainly as we can see here on the Renko chart. But going back to what VPA can do for you, either as a trader or an investor, as I said, I had a couple of things that I just wanted to share with you. First of all is this particular site, which I did actually bring up at our Forex webinar on Tuesday, and it's a site called Sentiment Trader. It's they do actually have a little free newsletter. It's a company that's developed hundreds of sentiment indicators for investors, but it was this tagline that they've actually put up, which says, make emotion work for you, not against you. Because particularly if you're an investor, it's what the market makers do. It's what's known as the smart money. It's what that is what they do, is they trigger huge fear and force people out of, retail traders out of the market, independent traders and investors out of the market. And then when things are going well and there's euphoria and things are rising, that's when they get sucked back in. So basically, the retail, an independent trader and investors buys at a top and sells at a bottom. And I thought that was a really nice tagline, which says basically you make the emotion work for you. What VPA tells you is when we are at some kind of top and when we are at some kind of bottom, it's not a, it won't give you that pinpoint signal, as it were. But if you read the charts, using the price action and more importantly using the volume, you will get a very clear idea of whether you are in an accumulation phase or whether you are actually at a distribution. And if you want further evidence of that, of what has been going on, particularly in this last crash and correction, because the trigger was the virus. This is an article that I picked up on my feed from Reuters. Turning a quick profit, basically, and not just buying outright, but actually borrowing huge sums of money, vast sums of money, to actually go in and buy when everyone else was selling. They were selling out massively on fear that the whole world was coming to an end because of the rout that was in the stock market, and it happens all the time. As you can see here, UBS's richest customers took out loans to place billions into crashing stock markets. Now, I have to say, the Fed gave them an awfully big helping hand, in the sense that they were backstopping everything right, left, and centre. And it also goes to prove the old adage, never fight the Fed. But if we look at the charts, and what I've actually got here, I've actually got the monthly YM. This is the big panic. I mean, who can forget those massive moves that we saw in the market? You think, well, that was down, then we had this one down. Well, where is the buying? The buying is here. The buying is here. Two big, huge volatility candles. And what happens with the volatility candle is, because it's outside the average true range, the first thing that happens is the price action will retrace to within the spread of the candle. Now, obviously, that second one there, it did. If you see, it went down, bang, straight back in, and then all the way down again. But if I pull up the volume, it's extreme. It's absolutely extreme under that wick. If that was all selling, that candle would be down there. You would not have that wick under there. But you also have to remember the fear that was around at the time in the news feeds, the pandemic, the virus, the world is going to come to an end. This is it. This was Armageddon, as it were. But that's when they were buying there. And then with this candle here, straight back into the spread of that volatility candle. What normally sometimes can happen when you get this retrace is you can have a congestion, but in this case it just simply went, it carried on higher, and this is where we are at the moment. There's been selling here. When you see this kind of selling that comes in after such a a deep, deep reversal, it's often the case of this is profit taking. So whoever got in here or here or here, they think, do you know what, this is great. Who's you know, what, who is buying at this point? People who are buying, who have who the emotion of a fear of missing out, that's who's buying at the moment. But this is what volume price analysis can do for you. So I know we go on about it all the time, and all I can tell you is we have hundreds of emails. I have comments on my Twitter feed. In fact, I'll bring up my Twitter feed. I had a wonderful little tweet from someone. She's only just started. She picked up the book and she sent me a screenshot, and it was a perfect example of it was one of the best examples of VPA, and I'll actually bring it up and hopefully I can make it big enough for you to be able to see it. In fact, let me just see if I can do that now, because it really encapsulates, and she's literally just started, but she was so thrilled that having got the book, looked at the chart, and found this pattern on the chart with the volume confirming it, she was, as I said, she was delighted with it. But what I'll do is, let me just pass back to David, but I will bring that up. Oh, here it is, TweetDeck. I've got it here. There we are. This is the one. Right, I hope you can see the pattern that she was seeing. Basically, we have a long period of congestion. Then we have this breakout here. Look at this. You've got rising prices. You've got rising volume. I mean, this is really VPA 101. What's also interesting, you know what I said to you about, you know, you can use other indicators as well. There's obviously some sort of moving average here. The prices are above the moving average. We know it's a genuine move because we've got the volume going higher. Then we have this big up candle here with a lot of, then we have this pullback. You think, oh my goodness, after this big move higher, a lot of traders, investors, oh my goodness, that's it. I'm going to, that's it. The move is over. But look what happens. You do get this pullback, but look at the volume. It's going down. Then what happens? It moves higher. This isn't what she actually wrote about on here. It's these two candles. Can you see huge spike to the top of the candle, not the bottom? Huge spike to the top of the candle. Massive volume underneath there. What do you think is going to happen? Just ask yourself that question. The question is, it is probably going to reverse, and bang, down it goes the other side. So this is what volume price analysis will do for you. And as you said, I've been reading your book, what a game changer. As a noob who's never taken a trade in her life, watching this stock take off and seeing the reversal after I called it, tons more for me to learn, but thank you for a great foot up. It's, you know, she's taken the first step on her on her journey to becoming a trader. I'm just delighted that she's using volume price analysis, to which you can add standard indicators. We have our proprietary indicators. You can make of it what you will. You can make it your own methodology. Right, I'm going to stop there, pass back to David. Let's go and see what's been happening in the live markets. Sorry, David. Before we go, the markets, that's what I was going to say. What's going to be driving the market? This is my final tip for you in terms of sites and what have you. This is actually from Bloomberg, which is a paid service, but you will be able to see this free for I think X number of times in the month. But it's essentially what they've done is the vaccine's moving the markets. What's been happening? What Bloomberg have done, they've actually listed who's who in the race to develop a market, and apparently this is going to be updated. I'm going to keep this on my Facebook as well, and this is where they all are, and we'll see. And if you are in stocks and any of these stocks are on your particular watch list, it's obviously interesting, you know, it's good to know who's actually involved, because any of these companies, if they suddenly come through with some kind of major breakthrough, they're obviously going to be, you know, the market is going to turn quite dramatically. Anyway, let me pass back to David. Let's go and see what's happening. As I said, it's gone a bit quiet since the sell-off. Is it this morning, David? The indices have been selling off because of why have they been selling off? Oh, all sorts of reasons. I think it's some Chinese news, but China. Yeah, that's right. I did mention keep an eye on what's happening to Chinese stocks. And they had almost a 5% sell-off. So that's kind of filtered through over to the US indices. But let's go and look at some live charts. Let's go and see what is happening, and let's go and find some more VPA examples.